All right, and welcome to part 3 of this week's YAWA. If this is your first time to our channel, we appreciate you stopping in and want to say you should check out part 1 and 2 of the series. We covered a lot of great things. And lastly, hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate that.
So we are drinking coffee this morning because it is morning and we're shooting this video. But question number 1 that I want to talk about real quick has to do with bourbon.
Ooh, bourbon. Ha!
From Andrew Hotzman.
Andrew.
Question 1.
Okay, got it.
Ethan's must-try bourbon for the novice.
Ooh, so this is going to be a tough one. And the reason that it's a tough one is because bourbon in general is extremely
palatable.
What is the word exactly? I don't know. It's very, 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 very dependent on what your individual flavor palate likes and doesn't like. But I'm going to say, for me, a go-to to get into that's not expensive, because bourbon and the bourbon train has gotten kind of blown up. Used to be bourbon was like middle of the road whiskey, and you could buy it for $30 to $50. So it's not gonna completely break the bank as far as a bottle of booze goes, but some of it has gotten stupid. And with the bourbon
highly
hype and whatever, highly allocated, hard to find. People are blowing up prices on stuff. Even stuff that was normally priced is blowing up. Things like one that is a big favorite of mine is Blanton's. And now what used to be I think somewhere in the vicinity of a $50 bottle, so on the high end of what bourbon used to be, now sells in the store for anywhere between $80 and $200, depending on where you're at, just because it's hard to get. So what I would say, though, on my end, Buffalo Trace Distillery, I'm a huge fan of, and they have a lot of different things that kind of fall under that umbrella. All of them fit my flavor palette. I enjoy a majority of them, and one that you can pretty regularly find, it's easy to drink, tastes pretty good, would be their original Buffalo Trace. You can find it. It's like, if you find it, it's like a $20 bottle, and it's good. It is not by any means top end or whatever, but it's good. It's a lot of people's daily sipper, if you say that. But I would say try Buffalo Trace, just their standard bottle. And if you don't like that at all, then you're probably not going to care for too many bourbons. But Buffalo Trace would be a good go-to if you're interested in getting into it.
And then the last thing, which I'm not a bourbon person.
Sure.
I've tried a few, but you always mention like if it's barrel proof or blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
So pay attention in the early stages. He's been on a video before. Charlie, a good friend of mine, he says he prefers barrel proof, as the good Lord intended it to come out of the barrel or something. He makes some comment about that. But pay attention to the whiskey proof. That's going to change a lot in how easy it is to drink, sip, whatever. I would say that I think Buffalo Trace is like an 80 proof or something to that effect. And when you're looking at those, it's going to be a lot less burn to it, a little more of the easy to drink. If it is a higher proof and it's something that you like, sometimes people add water or an ice cube or a couple ice cubes. It all just depends, and all of those things are going to change the way it tastes. So it really comes down to personal preference, but Buffalo Trace would be a good place to start if you're asking me, which you are.
Good answer, question, combo. Next question, talking bird dog stuff now.
Okay.
If you ran...
Oh, same guy.
Same guy. He said question 1 and question 2. He's getting
problem.
2. If you ran just a flushing dog with a beeper collar, what setting would you use? For reference, stocked birds, not wild, with cover being well over the dog's back,
sure.
Run mode, or only beep if needed to locate. By the way, Patreon has been well worth the investment. Thank you.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for the shout out on that one. I would say for me, if I was running a dog in an environment where they are completely not visible most of the time, and we do this even with our pointing dogs, I run them on beep mode. So it'd be the run mode portion. It's going to be beeping all the time. If we've dumped dogs into the cattails, it's completely over their head. I can't see them. I can kind of get a gist sometimes when they bump into some cattails and poof, a little cattail bomb goes off as they're running. But I'm going to run it on beep mode all the time so that they don't, because it can happen very quickly. It's like they get in, there's little trails that run through the thick cover and whatever else. And they go from, oh, they're right there 20 yards away in gun range to, whoa, now they're 100 yards away or something to that effect. So having that beep on is going to help you keep track of them, especially when you can't see them. But
especially with a flushing dog, because at least with our pointing dogs, a lot of times
they're going to potentially stop, should stop.
Goal is for them to stop on those birds. And then if they're on, point mode, then it's going to start beeping and we're going to be like, oh.
I just poured coffee all over my face. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. I was like, well, I just poured him another cup, so I didn't know if it was too hot. But then they're going to point, and then that beep's going to start going, and we're going to say, oh, there's a dog there. They're on point. Let's go check it out. Whereas your flushing dogs,
yeah, go ahead.
They're going to be flushing, so you need to kind of know where they're at, especially when you can't see them. So being on that run mode would be where I would be at.
And I think that on average, people view that beeper collar, because it has the point mode in it, as a pointing dog only collar unit. And I'm a huge proponent for put those beeper collars on all of your dogs, because if they're within a reasonable distance of you, it's pretty easy to hit that locate button, figure out where they're at, find them. And aside from having a beeper on there, the rest of the features are like any other e-collar. So when we're talking about a beeper collar, we use DT Systems Wrap 1450. They also have another unit that we've used a little bit. The big differences between them, this is going to be the SPT 2430 series. They have a 1-dog and a 2-dog option, but I primarily use that 1450 unit. And the reason for that is it's expandable to 3 dogs, where the SPT is a maximum of 2. If you only need 1 or 2 dogs, my go-to and recommendation would be the SPT series. It's fully rechargeable. Has 50 levels. It's got a lot longer range. And all in all, it's a sound unit. The 1450 is a great entry level, if you will, unit. But if the SPT came in a 3-dog, I would hands down own only the SPT series collar.
So really great question. The next question that I really want to answer is from Alden Filco. So if I messed that up, I'm sorry. First of all, he said finished, because in our last YAWA, we said, yeah, most people don't make it to the end of these videos. So if you do, hit finished in the comments below, because we don't feel like a lot of people make it all the way to the end. And
it's a great point.
Holy cow, there was a whole bunch of comments about finish.
So thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys. It really helps us to feel good about what we're doing. All of this stuff takes time, and we do it for you. We enjoy doing it, but sometimes there is that little bit of, is this really worth doing it? Are people really watching?
Are they enjoying and getting a lot out of it? Or are we just sitting here doing it for ourselves?
So thank you, everybody who commented in there. Now, the other side of that, with those comments, if we don't get to your question, sorry, we're trying to get to as many questions as we can. But if you have a question, throw it in there. If we don't get to your question, check us out on Patreon. That's where we're getting to questions every single day. I'm usually only taking 1 day off a week. That's typically Sundays, but it is pretty much within 24 hours we're getting your questions answered.
So first of all, thanks for finishing the last YAWA, but you said you bring the puppies with you on trips. Are the 2 going to be ready for this season? So I thought this was a great question, because first of all, this whole YAWA 1, 2, and 3, we've been really talking about our new little lab puppy, because we're super excited about him. We just went to New York to pick him up.
And we refer to him as our new little lab puppy because he doesn't have a name yet.
Yeah, we're going to be asking for help with that in his first video that we introduced him being at our house. So look for that video and give us your comment on that video. Not this one.
Not this one. Not this one.
The other video, so that we can go through all of those for name suggestions. But we've been talking all about him and haven't mentioned Zephyr or Thunder in this video YAWA series. And we haven't forgotten about them. So don't freak out and be like, what about those guys?
The thing that we have here, which is a luxury, because it really is an amazing team of people that work with us. They've spent a lot of time learning here and training and figuring out how to train and develop dogs via the Standing Stone method, if you will. And those puppies are rotating through our team as we accomplish things, and you're going to see videos of them pop up. We're trying to get worked in. We're kind of running out of days for a majority of the content that we produce, but we're trying to get worked in. An update on Zephyr, an update on Thunder, and now an update on the new little black lab puppy every single week. But we also have going right now our trained retrieve series or formal retrieving work with Legend. And he is doing phenomenal. I hope you guys are checking those out because it's definitely good advanced work for anybody that's kind of rolling into that. There's 8 month to 16 month range of their dog.
Yeah. And there's a whole playlist. So you don't have to hunt and peck for those videos. Just go to our playlists. It's under the formal retrieving training.
We're showing step by step through that. And then we also have the even more advanced, which there's a little more time in between those videos because we're kind of showing this is the step. We're going to rep it a few times. And then we'll show you the next progression. Trying to include as much as possible in there, but we got a lot of different series and a lot of different dogs working through things.
That's with Hatch, who's Legend's daddy. So it's kind of cool too to follow Legend stuff, follow Hatch's stuff and go, holy cow, this is really cool to watch son and father go through some of this advanced stuff and see some similarities between them.
100%. And it's really an extremely cool group of dogs that we have right now. All of them have a ton of ability. All of them have a lot of trainability and desire to work, which is fun to show off.
But yeah, so we've got a lot of content that we're trying to get put out, and there's only so many days in the week. So bear with us as we're trying to get updates on those guys as well, but they have not been forgotten about, and they're mixing in with our other puppy, and they're mixing in with some of the trainers that work for us. Tessa's got a little boy, so it's really great continued socialization, that word, for both Thunder and Zephyr that get to switch out. It's so cute to hear Grayson say Thunder because he's been the one that she's had for quite a bit now while we were in New York and stuff. And
now we're actually changing up that dynamic. So Thunder is coming back where he is more mature. And then we have the little bitty puppy. He can actually start to understand some things like, hey, quit playing so rough. Hey, you need to take this toy over and go play by yourself, not just attack the little puppy all the time. Where Zephyr is still in that close enough range where it's just like a constant rolling wrestle match.
Almost like litter mates. And so we're trying to separate that out a little bit so that Zephyr's going to get a little bit of more one-on-one time.
As well as potty training.
As well as continued potty training.
Thunder has more bladder control and a better understanding of being able to wait so we can get the little puppy out first. All of these things are sequences, and we wouldn't be able to do all of this without the amazing team that we have here.
Right. We'd go insane. Literally insane.
Yeah, probably.
So, but they ask, are these two going to be ready this season? And that's a really great question because
100%. I mean, come on.
Well, there's the short answer. I was going to give you the long answer, but
give the long answer. It's better than mine.
So the long answer is we're working towards the things that we say are requirements before dogs can go on their first hunting trip. So we just started Thunder's collar conditioning to recall.
It went well. If you haven't seen that video, is it even up yet?
It is.
Okay, if you haven't seen that video, you need to go watch it. Meow.
And so he's doing a really great job starting that collar conditioning to recall. We have actually had him out pointing pigeons in launchers, and we've done his gunfire introduction. So he is basically ready to go, a little more repping, building a little more confidence, but he has met the requirements, the prerequisites, if you will, to go hunting. Is he going to be super productive right now if we took him today? No, but he's still got, I don't know, we're going to go out in September and then you're going to be guiding in October. That's, 2 months away still before he'd be going. Almost a full 2 to 3 months.
I would say Zeph's probably going to miss out on South Dakota this year.
Right. But he'll be a little young.
Yeah, but he'll have a lot of opportunities as far as bird numbers in Kansas look fantastic. Bird numbers in Nebraska look fantastic. Bird numbers in Texas and Oklahoma look absolutely fantastic. So I think this year is going to be a boom year for hunting, which is a great time to be a little puppy.
Yeah, because they're going to get a ton of experience. So when Ethan goes to South Dakota guiding, Thunder might get to make the trip this year.
Potentially, we got to do the math.
Got to do the math.
Only have so many spaces.
Yeah, got to do the math. And also, when he's guiding for clients. We need to have dogs out there that are being productive and finding birds and getting a lot out of it. Because
worst case scenario, he may go along just for the experience of travel.
Yeah.
Even though he may not get to hunt a ton, he'll be on the truck. He'll get to go out. He'll get to run around the truck. He'll get to get back in the truck. But that travel aspect of things is huge for the development, socialization. It's just kind of showing that traveling and hunting and these things are a way of life.
Yeah, it's a complete expectation for a dog that's part of our family is we're going to travel, we're going to hunt, you're going to get on a chain gang. You're going to get in a trailer, all those things, and you're going to travel with us and eat on the road and all those things that they really need to be a well-socialized, well-rounded part of a hunting string of dogs. But then we're going to go back to South Dakota for ourselves. And those are the opportunities and the trips that we're doing for ourselves that Ethan and I are more about the dogs than just the shooting, just the killing. We want to go hunting. We want to have the opportunity and experience of hunting on some of these other hunts and other birds. I'm
not all about just hiking. You know, we need to see some birds. We need to see some
But the dogs
stuff.
need to see some birds because we're there for the dogs, and we're there for them to gain experience, become, ready for their next level of training. And that always requires a season of birds first. We can't expect more out of them until they've really, truly learned their purpose out there to hunt. And so we go places that we're going to find birds, but we handle the dogs. We give them opportunities. We help them through situations. If they mismark a bird, it's not like I'm going to just go out there and pick it up for them. I'm going to work them downwind. I'm going to help them make the connection.
When we have younger dogs and I'm guiding, even with a dog that meets the criteria to be part of the guide string, I'll say to those guys, hey, that bird's dead. Just leave it there. I want to get this puppy over there to figure it out so that they can improve, rather than just going, they missed it. Throw it in your bag. Slow down your hunt. Take that time, teach them when they're young so that the next year and the next year, they fall into that category of truly having an understanding rather than by year 3, they're kind of starting to figure it out. It's year 1, you took all of the time, made all of the sacrifices, maybe didn't shoot quite as much yourself so you could help handle so that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seasons down the road, you've got the dog that you want to hunt with.
Definitely. So that was a great question that I definitely wanted to answer. Do we have time for more?
Yeah, I think we've got time for another question.
Okay. I've got to decide which one. Okay, this is a good question. I wanted to touch on it because it's talking about puppies. Robin Bay.
Okay.
How often do you have dogs come in for hunt training and they fail? All litters are not equal. Have you had pairings that were failures? What do you do with the pups? I know you introduce the pups to different situations and can judge their personalities. Is this the tool you use for giving the thumbs up or the thumbs down? So
it's a really interesting question.
It is. And I definitely thought it was one that maybe is a little controversial, or there's going to be some of those unpopular opinions and brutally honest moments, which we need some of those sometimes.
Sure we do. So first of all, I'm going to start off by saying not all breedings are created equal. That's something to, preface what you said there. But at the same time, every single dog has a ceiling. Now, that ceiling is going to be the top level that they can be trained to. Now, that may be variable a little bit depending on less experienced, more experienced handlers. I may be able to raise what you would have considered your dog's ceiling a little bit just because we have a little more experience, but at the same time, there still is a limit.
It's not going to exponentially increase.
No,
it's going to slightly maybe
a little bit, a little bump, just the professional handling on something may be able to take it just a little bit farther. But it's one of those things that as a young individual, I was an athlete. Okay. I went to football camps. I had some eyes on me as a potential of being a collegiate level athlete, but probably not a D1 collegiate level athlete. And even if I did have the potential to do that, I definitely do not have the things to go pro, period. Just don't. I have a ceiling. I am a human and I have limitations. Now I could set my mind to it. I could work really hard, but I still have limitations. And the same thing falls into our dogs. We have people that see all of the awesome titles that we have on our breeding stock and all of the titles that we have rolling through stuff. And we'll get questions like, hey, I want my dog to be a master hunter like their dad, or I want my dog to be a master hunter like I see your dogs. And we go, okay, well, let's take a look here. Yeah, it's not easy. And not all dogs are going to be able to make it to that level. So.
And definitely it has to do with your goals too, because I think a lot of times people say, I want my dog to be a master hunter, but they don't necessarily know what that truly means or entails, or the time commitment or financial commitment to get their dog to that level if they're sending it off for professional training.
Even if they're doing it themselves. So when we're training our dogs ourselves, the financial commitment to putting those titles on the dogs is still substantial. I mean, you have travel, you have birds, you have, if you value your time as anything, you add that up and it starts adding up pretty dang quick. But then you have testing fees, you have your travel expenses, which is kind of the travel aspect of things. But all of that stuff adds up and it isn't cheap. So,
yeah. And not everyone necessarily truly needs or wants a master hunter once they understand what that means and what that is. Or a utility prize
dog or a VC or anything.
But definitely we get dogs in for training that are struggling, that we're doing all the things, we're pulling out all the hat tricks, we're trying to make this dog successful, and they are slow about it. So we have to have real conversations, honest conversations with owners. And it's never easy. It's not something we want to do.
Nobody wants to hear your kid sucks or your kid's not doing well. You know what I mean? And that's what these dogs essentially are for people, is they're children. And I'm sure that you guys watching feel similar. And you feel that your dog is the best. A lot of people do.
Or they want their dog to be the best. But we have to be realistic and we have to be honest, because if we call and say, your dog's doing so great, they're amazing, we're going to be able to do so much with them, and then
we kind of fall short of that
because they truly don't have it. Their ceiling is a lot lower, or to get there is going to take a lot longer than the owners are truly ready to commit to. And so we have to have those real conversations, and they're not easy conversations, because both Ethan and I, the whole goal of like our channel and our program is to help dogs to succeed and be the best that they can be and educate people. And the last thing that I want to do is call someone and tell them your dog's struggling. I want to call and give the great updates that your dog is flying through this training. We're going to be able to do more than we originally expected, or they're going to be ready to go home maybe a little sooner than we expected. Those are the conversations I like to have. But unfortunately, you do have to have those difficult conversations every once in a while. And that's just because you have to be honest.
So as far as do dogs fail or wash out or whatever, I'm going to say for the most part, no. But the level that they can be trained to is different. And when we talk to people and say, what are your expectations? What do you want this dog to be able to accomplish? Are you hunting 20 days a year? Are you hunting 2 days a year? Is obedience more important, or the hunting aspect of things? We just have real conversations with people and say, you know, this is where I feel that we can get your dog in this amount of time. And if you're good with that, then excellent. There have been a few dogs over the years that it comes down to that people have higher expectations than we're able to accomplish. And, you know, but it didn't happen all that often.
Yep. Or, you know, we say it's taking us a lot longer to get to your goal. I still think we can get there. It's going to take longer. Are you willing to leave your dog for that amount of time? Because ultimately, I can't force people to leave their dogs with us for an extra 3 months because their dog is struggling and is slow. It's ultimately their decision. And so it comes down to what priorities they have, and, you know, importance wise, they say, no, I'm going to just pick them up. The obedience is solid. Maybe the hunting side of things is a little weaker than I would have liked. But ultimately, they're our family dog. We want them back. We miss them, that sort of thing. Absolutely. Well, that was a great question. It was a great question. There was a little bit about like litters and things like that. So we do always evaluate our litters. And a great way for us to be able to do that is through the NAVDA natural ability test that we like to watch our dogs perform through. As well as we get a ton of our puppies back in for training, which is amazing. We absolutely love working with our dogs. A, it allows us to evaluate litters, but B, you know, we're breeding the dogs that we're breeding because we like those dogs. So it's super fun to get a puppy back in from those pairings, because it allows us to evaluate the litter, but also to say, hey, you train a lot like your mama, or you train a lot like your daddy, or, you know, your mom did the same thing to me. So it allows us to evaluate litters. And we have been moving our breeding program in a direction for a long time that I would not say that we have failures. We have dogs that maybe are weaker in the water than we'd like. So then we reevaluate and say, these dogs aren't going to make duck dogs. They will be able to run out and pick up a, you know, pheasant out of the water, but they're not going to go tear up a marsh for 20 minutes looking for a down duck. Yeah, they're not going to want to do that. There's definitely different strengths and different weaknesses, but as far as a true quote unquote washout, I don't know that we had one in our program in a very long time to ever. Yeah. I mean, I can't think of somebody specifically, just dogs that had different abilities. And
Usually we've got a pretty good idea of what they're going to be, and we put a lot of emphasis on matching the right people to the right dogs. So.
And the right litters. And then also like our dogs have that natural ability side of things, but also the trainability side of things. So enough exposure, a little bit more training in a specific area. You know, if they're maybe not wanting to back as naturally, they're looking at them, but they're like, I'd rather be the one pointing. A little bit of YAWA training, and then boom, they're hitting those backs. So natural ability there, then the trainability is also there. So you can work both of those things together to have the dogs be what the owners want them to be, for sure. So I would say not failures, but definitely they allow us to reevaluate and say, I definitely want to do that litter again. This is going to be a repeat breeding. This was awesome. Or I say, you know, they were a little weaker in this specific place. I think we should reevaluate and try to a different male for their next breeding and see what we get that time. So, and there's a lot more that goes into it than just pick this dog and see what we get.
We've got 2 good dogs and put them together. We should get more good dogs.
There's a lot more that goes into it, which is going to be a whole nother topic about talking about pedigrees and coefficients of inbreeding and unique dogs and things like that. But there's a lot that goes into it than just that dog looks like it'd be a good pair for that dog. So great question. And I definitely wanted to answer it because, you know, unpopular opinions and all.
Hey, thanks everybody for watching. If we didn't get to your question this week, we are sorry. We've done our best to do this, and definitely be hitting us up there at patreon.com/Standing Stone Kennels. We're answering questions there every day. And if you can't wait, hit us up there. If you can wait and just want to ask us another question, throw it in the comments below and we'll see if we can get to it next week. I'm the guy with the pink gun.
And I'm Kat, the dog trainer.
And we'll see you in the next video.